In the United States, the Senate has cleared its first hurdle in advancing President Biden's massive aid request for Israel, Ukraine and Taiwan after months of negotiations. It comes as Secretary of State Blinken left the Middle East with public division the most severe it's been between the US and Israel since the war in Gaza began. Let's go live to John Blaxland from ANU's North America division. Professor Blaxland, great to see you as always. Prime Minister Netanyahu talking about total victory, that's all there is. A fifth of those hostages have been confirmed dead now. Where to from here in terms of Israel's ongoing presence and offensive in Gaza?
Yeah, no, it's thanks for having me on, Kieran. Good to be with you. It's a devilishly difficult situation, and anybody who says they know what's going to happen next is really having themselves on. And anybody who thinks that there's an easy answer to this is also delusional. This is a situation where, all along Israel has been saying that they're planning to root out Hamas. But of course, Hamas is so deeply enmeshed throughout Gaza, and we've seen this now with the revelation of the tunnel networks that have been, found right across Gaza, that this means that there isn't an easy answer in terms of the Israeli Defense Force being able to root out Hamas. So, war is an extension of politics by other means, and the politics of this is absolutely, devilishly difficult to unravel. Yet Netanyahu's facing, domestically, he's supported by right wing of the Israeli political spectrum, who are heavily invested in maintaining the momentum for tracking down Hamas and defeating Hamas in detail. But that comes at the cost that is, appearing to be, intolerable politically internationally. Of course, more broadly, it's important to remember that this is not just about what's happening in Palestine. It's about the way the Middle East reacts to the dynamics at play between the Sunni and the Shia world. In a simplified sense, that's between those countries more aligned with Saudi Arabia and Iran. And Iran is, we've just seen some footage of what's happened in Iraq. And while the chief of army in Iraq might be saying that this is terrible, we know that Iran is playing a very prominent role in Iraq, and that is deeply unsettling to many across the Middle East, including Israel.
And how severe is that risk now that the whole thing blows up even further across the region? We know there have already been clashes with Hezbollah and, of course, the Houthi rebels in the Red Sea, but there's potential for it to get a lot worse, isn't there? Particularly if there are direct strikes on Israel from Iran or vice versa.
Yeah, look, I think I'm reasonably sanguine about this. Israel has got enough on its plate without having to try and strike at Iran, and it's of course got logistical challenges with trying to reach Iran effectively from such a great distance. And so all the great powers involved have considerable motives to remain relatively chill about what's going on and not to escalate from where we are. But of course, we're talking about almost boiling point anyway. We're talking about significant confrontations between Hezbollah in Lebanon and Israel, the Houthi attacks in the Red Sea, the attacks in the war in Gaza, the fighting in Iraq, the continued fighting in Syria. One point is when we think about the challenges and what can happen from here, it's, I think, instructive to reflect on similar challenges elsewhere. And we talk about the situation in Gaza and the cornered Palestinians in Gaza, the people of Gaza, in incredibly atrocious circumstances. But, if you compare the situation to what happened with the Rohingya in Myanmar, they basically fled to Bangladesh, a co-religionist country, neighbouring country where they were welcomed, not particularly warmly, but nonetheless welcomed. Egypt has not allowed the Gazans to leave. And the solution, when we talk about a solution, it's got to involve Egypt, it's got to involve Saudi Arabia. And at the same time, there's, America's reputation is at stake here. it's really such a deep and
Professor Blaxland, it's great to get your insights as always. Thanks so much for joining us live from Washington.